Hey guys, welcome back to Lawrence County High School. It's a Friday, and as you well know, this is probably our last lecture to answer questions session that we'll be going through. We're going to spend next week just trying to get everyone caught up. I still want you to tune in next week on Monday. I'm going to do one more video, and it's just going to be a video where we just talk a little bit. There'll be a surprise quiz there about things that I know you can answer, such as who's the President of the United States. And any other burning question that you want to know, I'm going to address all that on Monday. So make sure you tune in Monday, which will be our last little back and forth. But today we have real business to take care of. In our little hodgepodge of things that we call Economics Unit 3, today we're going to look at money. What is money? Why do we want it? What do we do with it? What's the purpose of it? So let's have a look here. We say that there are three functions of money in our society today. Number one is money serves as a medium of exchange, which means it simplifies trade, as we can use money for obtaining goods and services instead of barter. And barter is where we trade back and forth. So if I only have cattle and you have something I want, and I say, okay, I will give you a cow for that. Well, if you don't want a cow, then we really can't do any business. But we use money for this purpose. So if I have money, of course you want it because you can buy what you want. So it makes exchange much easier than using the system of barter. Money is also a store of value, which means this. Money holds its value over time and allows us to save purchasing power for later use. So where I work here at Lawrence County High School, they give me money every 2 weeks. And I can take that money and I can save it up and I can go buy a new car if I wanted. I can go buy a fishing pole. I don't have to spend it immediately. If Lawrence County High School were to pay me with some commodity like, let's say, milk, and they give me a week's worth of milk for working for them, what am I going to do? Do I have to drink that milk? Do I have to turn it into cheese and butter and save it? That just wouldn't make a lot of sense. So they pay me in money, and that allows me to save the purchasing power for a later time. And this is what it should look like at my house, but unfortunately it doesn't. A third function of money is it is a unit of accounting. And what that means is it provides a common measure of value and allows us to understand the worth of an item. So if you have a car that costs $80,000, just by saying I have an $80,000 car, we understand you probably got a pretty good car. Whereas if, on the other hand, if I say I have a $400 car, I think in your mind you can picture what a $400 car looks like. So just by simply attaching a dollar figure to something, it allows us to sort of get a feel on how good something is. A story I'll share with you. When I first got my teaching job, I'd been poor before, and all of a sudden I had a job and I was doing pretty good. And I went to a fancy restaurant with a friend of mine in Louisville. And before we go in, he said, I can tell you this place is really expensive. We don't have to go if you don't want to. I said, oh no, I want to go in. So I go in and it is pretty high class, and I find out that they have a steak on the menu that costs $100. The steak was $100. And I bought it because I wanted to see what a $100 steak tastes like. So I ordered the steak and they brought it out and it was all really good and everything, and I can always tell the story now that I had a $100 steak. Would I do it again? Absolutely not. I would go to Waffle House. But you just sort of get a feel that that must be a really good steak if it costs $100. So money serves as a unit of accounting. Another nice feature of money is something called liquidity. When we think of a liquid, we think of water. If I had a bucket right now and I poured it out, a bucket full of water onto the floor, the liquid would run everywhere. And that's what we're thinking about with money. Money is considered to be liquid because it flows easily from one person to another. That means everyone wants money. If you have money and you want to buy or you want to make a deal with somebody, people are going to take your money. But once again, if you only have things that you want to trade to someone, you have to find the person looking for what you have. Let's say you have thousands of dollars worth of basketballs. Well, unless you find someone wanting a basketball, you can't do business. But everybody wants money. Money can easily be converted into other assets. So I can take these dollars and I can convert that into a nice motorbike, in case that's something you want. We mentioned barter earlier, which is basically trading goods and services for goods and services. And that went on earlier in our early history here in the country. And it works out okay, and there's still some people who barter and do trading, and that's fine, but it's just so much easier to use money because money reduces the transaction cost of exchanges. Basically, it's easier to have an exchange with someone if we're using money. Looking at U.S. currency, the United States was on the gold standard from 1900 to 1971. And actually, if you want to get technical about it, we were on the gold standard long before then, like even before the Civil War. But things were kind of wonky, and in 1900 we kind of settled in on something. And what it basically said was, it's a system of currency in which all paper money is backed up by a precious metal. And in our case, it was gold. So think about what that means. For every printed dollar that exists in the United States, there is a dollar's worth of gold. And under this version of the gold standard, at least the early 1900s version, if you wanted to take your dollar to the bank and say, I want to cash this in for a dollar's worth of gold, they would do that for you. They would turn your dollar into a dollar's worth of gold. And we don't stay on that very long. Okay, as we look here at this poster, it's kind of interesting. This was for a gentleman who was running for president named William McKinley, and he was running against William Jennings Bryan. And at this time, our country was really ripped apart about what to do with currency and what precious metal should we use to back up our currency. A lot of people wanted to use silver. Other people wanted to use gold. And so the debate raged on. And there was even a crowd who wanted to say, let's have both gold and silver back up the currency. McKinley was in favor of gold. His opponent, William Jennings Bryan, was a silver person, and he thought it was better for farmers, which leads us to an interesting side note. How many of you have ever seen the movie The Wizard of Oz? I'm sure most of us have, and you know what it's about. Of course, it's about Dorothy and Toto, and they get in a hurricane or a tornado, and they're trying to get back to Kansas, and there's a good witch and a bad witch and monkeys and stuff. But that movie has a much deeper meaning. When it was written in the around 1900, it was right in the middle of this debate over which metal to use for currency. So that's really one of the underlying themes there to that film. Think about it, The Wizard of Oz, OZ. OZ stands for ounce. And if you look at the characters, the Scarecrow represents the farmers who want to be on the silver standard. And the Cowardly Lion is William Jennings Bryan, who's also for silver. And the Tin Man represents the workers of America, and they're for silver, plus his color is silver. And in the original movie, Dorothy's shoes are not rubies, they're silver, or in the book. And then think about the other side. How do they get to where they're going to go? They take the yellow brick road, and yellow brick represents gold. And if you remember, the Wizard of Oz makes promises to them after they follow the yellow brick road that he can't possibly keep, which is what the gold was going to do. They were promising things that gold can't deliver. Who knew? That's what that was about. I also understand that if you listen to the Wizard of Oz and you cue up Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, it's in perfect sync together. I don't know. So, where were we? We were talking about currency. So in this method here, paper currency can be exchanged for golds at federal banks. And this system has been abandoned at different times, especially right after World War I and during the Great Depression. Before I go into Bretton Woods, one thing we see happen is, if you're only going to have as much gold or dollars as you have as gold, that's pretty limiting. So if you only have X amount of gold, you can only print off X amount of dollars, then you can't go beyond that, which sort of limited an economy. And that was really a problem during the Great Depression because we were on a sort of kick into hyperdrive. So we see something called the Bretton Woods system. It modifies the gold standard, and this lasts from 1946 to 71. And it really sort of takes us off that idea that, one, you can go cash in money for gold, but we're starting to change how much gold is worth, and we're starting to really increase how much money we have in circulation. I'm talking paper bills. Finally, President Nixon completely abandons the gold standard in 1971. So now, your money is not really tied to anything. Your money is what we now call a fiat standard. And what this means is, it's money that's not backed up by any physical asset like gold or silver. So when you look at this paper dollar, why is it worth $1? It's worth $1 because we've all said this is worth $1, and we all buy into it. So it's currency that has value simply because the government says it has value. It's legal tender, which means it's the official medium of payment recognized by law, which must be accepted for any debt, public or private. The value of gold when we finally abandoned the gold standard in 1971 was $35 per ounce. Would anyone like to take a guess at how much gold is worth now? And I actually looked up the numbers. That's the numbers for today. And I'm talking about during the coronavirus. It's Friday, May 1, 2020. Today, gold is worth $1,700 per ounce. And actually, since the whole coronavirus thing hit, it's come down slightly. It was a little more, up a little higher than that. So if you have some gold right now, $1,700 an ounce. And I'm talking like good gold. I don't mean like the kind of gold you get at Camden Park. So that's all I got for you today. This will sort of wrap it up. There'll be a quiz here associated with this. And like I said, please come back Monday. I'm going to put up another video, and there'll be some just fun stuff, and you'll be glad you came. All your dreams will come true. I'll see you Monday.